This is an Eyewitness News special. Back to school, new lessons.
For the first time in months, students are returning to the classroom. Reopening schools might not be easy for some districts. Keeping them open may be even more challenging. Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Bird, and welcome to our special program tonight, Back to School. Talking with those educators being put to the test as COVID-19 has made a typical day in school anything but. Well, I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Shelley Kirk. And Shelley, we certainly have a lot of ground to cover.
We absolutely do, and we're going to do it tonight because on our Back to School new lessons this evening, here's what we're going to look at, and this is our agenda. 6 area superintendents will join our program remotely through Zoom. Now, these educational leaders represent Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois, and some of the systems they oversee are already back in class as of tonight. Others are taking notes and getting ready for their first day.
And I sat down with Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. His first 8 months in office comes as we face the greatest challenge of our lifetimes. We discussed the Commonwealth's response to the coronavirus pandemic and how he thinks schools will function this fall.
And of course, with the new school year comes sports. Student athletes in sports like football facing uncertainty. Sports Director Randall Parmley checks in with the Indiana High School Athletic Association on the future of fall sports.
Kentucky is a few weeks away from the start of school, but not everyone is on the same schedule. At the recommendation of the governor, public schools will start the year virtually, going back to class at the end of September. And that depends on if the Commonwealth's COVID-19 positivity rate is below 4%. As of today, that rate is 5.6%. Despite the recommendation, Catholic schools in Owensboro and across the Commonwealth are planning in-person classes to resume at some point this month.
Now, I've heard from many parents that are worried that schools will open just to shut down again. Now, in a matter of weeks, Indiana State Health Commissioner says that is unlikely, though. Dr. Christina Bach says the shutdown we went through last March was to ensure that hospitals could make the necessary changes to handle the outbreak without being overwhelmed. Now that has been accomplished, Bach says schools can reopen, but things will be very different. A critical part of returning to school, Dr. Bach says, students must stay home if they are sick. Well, students in the Tell City and Troy Township school system in Perry County went back to school last week.
Well, big changes are in place, of course, to help keep students safe. Eyewitness News' Noah Latza got a sneak peek the day before classes resumed.
Yes, that's fine.
It's back to school time, with a lot of students starting their day here at the bus stop.
To protect the kids and the drivers, we are going to be sanitizing the buses twice a day. So in the morning, when your child gets on the bus, we'll pick up all the students, drop them off at the school, and then my transportation director will get on and spray it down with a fogger that wraps around the seat and sticks to everything and has about a 2-minute kill rating for coronavirus and bacteria and things like that.
Name cards placing students of the same household are up, and masks will be required. As students enter the building, they'll be breathing ionized air. $50,000 invested in 8 ion generators.
And right now, there's 5,000 volts flowing through that thing, generating ions that are then pumped through our air handlers that you don't smell, you don't feel it, it doesn't interact with you at all, but it interacts with those microscopic particles that we don't want to interact with.
The ions are 90% effective at killing COVID-19 and other bacteria. Schuldeau says a fogging mister will also help expedite cleaning in classrooms. PE and lunch look much different too.
So we've limited our amount of kids in PE. Usually it's 2 classrooms at a time in a PE setting. We're going to drop that back down to 1. That means 20 to 25 kids across the whole gym. Socially distancing, masks down because you're exercising, but once again, that's where we've got the ion generators. So those ions are in there killing that virus while we're working out.
And when it's time to eat?
And we've bought serving trays and carts to where my cafeteria staff can load up an entire classroom's lunch on a cart, push it down to the classroom, and the students would eat in the classroom. So once again, it's that isolation, it's that pod living where we just keep everybody as separated from everybody else as we can.
Other changes include adding hand sanitizer stations across the building. It's a school year like none other, and superintendents like John Schildo says the school year will be different, but keeping students safe is his top priority. Noah Alatza, Eyewitness News.
Well, Tell City was the first local school system to head back to class, and now that they have a full week in the books, it's time for a progress report. So joining me now over Zoom is John Schildo, superintendent of Tell City Troy Township Schools. Mr. Schildo, thanks for making the time for us with a very busy schedule, I'm sure. So 1 week down now, how's everything today?
We couldn't be happier with the way things have been going for us since we started last Tuesday. We've actually seen an uptick in our in-person enrollment because we've done so well. We've had some parents who were a little trepidatious to start back after about 3 or 4 days of hearing what we'd done and seeing it in practice. We've gone up to about a 90% in-person rate from about an 80-85. So we're happy with that result.
Yeah, that's very good news. Has anyone come down with COVID? How many kids out sick?
We don't have any confirmed cases of COVID. We do have some students who have been quarantined because of exposures. And we have a lot of questions from parents saying, well, my child has this symptom or that symptom, should I send them? And we've been erring on the side of caution and saying, if they don't feel great, keep them home, kind of watch it, and deferring a lot to the health department. They have been very, very helpful throughout the whole process. I'm probably wearing them out.
Yeah, and as far as right now, I hear a lot of school systems right now just saying, if you're sick, stay home, period, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're pushing if it's not something that you normally have. Like if you've got allergies and some sinus drainage, then, of course, get your doctor's note and come to school. But if it's something new or multiple symptoms like nausea and a headache, then we're definitely saying stay home and see how things ride.
Okay, well, Mr. Schildo, what have you found surprising in this first week and a few days back?
Really, the smoothness of everything. The students have been phenomenal. We've not had problems with masks. We've not had problems with following directions. We're not crazy about all the seating charts and the separation because, kids naturally want to be social and gravitate towards each other. But they're doing a really good job, and our parents have been outstanding. Communication was our big push. We really wanted to establish that good communication with parents, and I think we've gotten it and then some. Most parents, teachers, everybody has said the first day of school, which is normally a really rough day for everybody, was one of our best in years. So I can't thank the students and the parents and the teachers enough for the great job they've been doing.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Now, you mentioned some quarantining and seating charts. Now, I know a lot of the seating charts is to facilitate contact tracing. Have you had to implement that so far?
The seating charts, yes, but we have not had to contact trace at this point. All the exposures that we've had have been away from school, and the quarantining is just because of that exposure. It's not because we've seen symptomatic progression here at school.
All right, so good news so far. Mr. Schildo, thank you so much for checking in with us and giving us a really positive update. We really appreciate that. And best of luck to all the kids and teachers there in Tell City, Troy Township.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks so much. Well, we want to thank our roundtable of Tri-State school superintendents for taking time out of their busy schedules, really busy right now, to join us tonight.
Well, these are educators who have tried to navigate this ever-changing story and answer a simple question. What do we do now? We have Dr. David Smith, superintendent of the EVSC, Brad Schneider, superintendent of Warwick County Schools.
We also have Dr. Matthew Constant, superintendent of Owensboro Public Schools, Dr. Deanna Ashby of Hopkins County Schools, Superintendent Morgana Stanley of Henderson County Schools, and Dr. Chuck Blyer, the superintendent of Wabash Community Schools. Thank you all so much for being here with us today.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are kind of in a classroom right now. This is a conversation, and if you would like to react to a comment made by a fellow superintendent, just raise your hand, okay? That's all it needs. And we appreciate, again, you being here. First of all, I'm going to ask Superintendent Brad Schneider. Basically, you started ringing the school bells Wednesday. A day later, 2 students have tested positive. With that said, what are your feelings about opening up right now?
Well, Brad, the opening itself has gone very well. I think it's important for people to understand the 2 students that did test positive today, they weren't infected at school. They brought the infection into school. The school administrators, the school team worked very quickly to identify those kids, isolate them. We started our mitigation protocol. So once we found out that they were positive, close contacts were identified. Those students and parents were contacted, explained that they were in close contact with someone that had tested positive for COVID-19. So they will be quarantined for 14 days. And we will hopefully, by attacking this quickly, we'll reduce that spread, and this incident will not, no other students will catch the COVID-19.
I certainly hope that is the case, and I know many other superintendents are taking notes here as you talk. Dr. Chuck Blyer with Wabash Community Schools, you all just started today, back to school as I understand. How did today go for you?
It went extremely well. We went with a hybrid system today where we had just half the students report. So the first half of the alphabet reported today, and tomorrow will be the second half. Went extremely well. The less congestion, able to follow protocols. I like to say that nobody's gone through teaching during a pandemic right now. So this is new to everyone, and we're trying to give everybody involved, all the parents, all the teachers, the students, a little practice before we get into full return, which we're hoping to fully return on the 24th. So far, so good today.
All right, good news.
Well, to Superintendent Margana Stanley, Governor Beshear, of course, has pushed back the start of brick and mortar classes to September 28th. For those students who are challenged by special needs or a lack of computer technology or poor Wi-Fi, what happens to them?
Well, we're